So before switching the computer, make sure that all components are properly connected, that the computer is connected to an process. Remember about interrupted power supply. Basically, yes, that ensures that your machine is safe. We have electrical scientists that have electrical science, then you can ensure that you're safe or your device is safe if you have a UPS. But if you don't, then expose your machine to burnouts and something that might actually short circuit your motherboard or your electronics located inside your machine. Okay, so guys, I want to bring to your attention two types of booting. And whenever we talk about booting, basically we're talking about how to power on a machine. So there are two types of boots, namely cold booting and warm booting. Okay, so for cold booting, this takes place whenever you are booting up your machine for the first time, or when you are starting a machine for the first time. Like let's say you shut it down today and then you give it like a couple of hours and then you boot it again or start it again, then that is referred to as cold booting. Warm booting, on the other hand, means restarting your machine. Maybe for one or two reasons you are working on your machine and then you discovered there were some issues or there were some upgrades that required your machine to reboot or to restart. Then what you would be doing is actually warm booting. Okay. Yeah, so cold booting is starting the machine for the very first time, maybe after a couple of hours, while warm booting is basically restarting your machine. Okay. So what happens when a machine is basically booting up? When a machine is booting up, it conducts what is known as power on self-test. I like to equate this to like whenever you're waking up, you kind of stretch, you stretch your back, you stretch your legs, you stretch your arms, and once you feel you're good to go, then you can proceed about your day. Okay, for a machine, it does what we call power on self-test. Okay, this is actually that the post power on self-test prepares the computer for use by instructing it to perform a number of diagnostic tests when booting up. It instructs the computer to check the memory, okay? And when you're talking about memory, we're basically talking about random access memory, to make sure it is operating correctly. It checks the CMOS BIOS. CMOS simply means complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Okay, like a small battery located within your laptop, right? This ensures that your settings are actually saved, because when you power down your machine, then how do you expect some instructions to be saved, like the time and data? Okay, while there are some instructions which have actually been ingrained in ROM, read-only memory, not RAM, read-only memory. And those instructions basically come from the manufacturers of your architecture's device or your laptop device, like HP, Dell, so on and so forth. So during this process, some monitors display information showing the status of each device being tested. Okay, like for me, I am using Linux, and whenever you're booting up a machine, you find that it is checked before it boots up. It does a check, like device drivers check, sound drivers check, display device check, audio device check. Those are the kind of tests it performs. And if it finds that they are faulty or they're not working as required, then it will prompt you or notify you to take on some action. Okay. So the special program that directs post process is called Basic Input Output System, BIOS. Okay, Basic Input Output System. And this is where basically you can actually configure your machine to your desired specification. Okay, you can actually direct, like how would you want to start up your machine? There's some machine that start from the hard disk, like they load the operating system from the hard disk onto RAM, and then it boots up. There's some other devices that load from the hard disk or flash disk. Okay, it is within this setup BIOS where you shall get those settings configurations. Even you can actually ensure that for a computer to proceed with boot up, a password is required. Okay. On this other end, whenever you boot up a machine, let's say you're working on a Windows machine and you boot it up, it will actually boot until the login phase, like where you actually instructed to type in your password, or select a user and then type in a password. All right. But we can configure, we can add some configuration in the BIOS to say that this machine will not actually boot up until a password is keyed in. All right. So those are the some of the instructions that are contained in the basic input-output system, which is basically the BIOS. And don't forget about post power on self-test, basically checking a number of actions or processes to ensure that everything is working as is required. Okay. So how do we shut down a computer? After finishing working with the computer, the user must follow the correct procedure of shutting down the computer in order to ensure that loss of data, damage of programs and computer components do not occur. All right. So ideally, you're not supposed to power it off from the wall socket. Like sometimes guys just go to the wall socket directly, and especially if you're using desktop machines. Okay, you just switch off immediately and you go. All right, that is not necessarily the best standard practice. All right, sometimes for laptops, you just close the lid. Ideally, what you've done, you've not shut down the machine, but rather you've put the machine under sleep, like it's in slow power consumption mode. So how do we shut down a computer safely? First of all, save all the work done on the computer. All right. If you're working on Word, PowerPoint, etc., make sure you save your work on the computer. Close all running programs that may be currently running. Okay, close all running programs. Maybe you are working on design software, right? Ensure that you've saved your work and closed it safely. Remove any floppy disks you might have inserted. Right, this has now become redundant. Not necessarily redundant, obsolete. Okay, we no longer use floppy disk drives. Okay, even in newer machines, CD-ROMs or DVD-ROMs are becoming ancient. Okay, but in the event that you have a CD or a DVD, make sure you remove it. Follow the proper shutdown procedure required before switching off the computer. Okay, for example, turn off any computer running Windows operating system. You click the start button. We shall do this practically so that you see. And as I mentioned earlier, I am not necessarily using Windows, I am using Linux. All right, in the prompt that appears, select shutdown, then press enter key on the keyboard. After a few seconds, the message, "It is now safe to turn off the computer," appears on the screen. Switch off the system unit, then the monitor. Okay. Nowadays, Windows have actually upgraded and updated their procedures. Like when you are shutting down, you are asked whether you want to update your machine. Okay. While some updates are optional, others are not. So whenever you try to shut down your machine, it actually mandates you to update it first. Okay, so see, these are some of the review questions. What is meant by the term booting up? I am sure by now you should be in a very good position to answer that. Differentiate between cold booting and warm booting. You should be, even without going back to your notes, you should actually be able to answer the following questions, like differentiate between the two boot ups. Write down the procedure to be followed when switching on a computer. Complete the abbreviation POST, power on self-test, in computer technology, and explain briefly its purpose. Okay. All right, now let's jump to the keyboard. Basically, a keyboard is an input device that allows you to capture data and save it within your machine, right? And it is segmented. We have the standard keyboard with 99 keys, and then we have the enhanced keyboard that has got between 102 and 105 keys. All right, so these are cluttered, but we will try our best what you have. Okay, as you can see over here, we have the escape key, which is basically on the top left corner. Okay, escape key. These are functional keys, right? Like F1, F2. We actually have F1 all the way to F12. Okay, they are functional keys. Basically, it means that you need to hold down a control key, control F1, control F2, control F3, F4, and so on and so forth. All right, then we have alphanumeric keys. Alphanumeric keys are basically A to Z with alphabetic characters, A to Z. Okay, we also have numeric keys that are located to the right-hand side of your keyboard, the numeric keys. We also have the arrow keys, right? These three ones: top, left, right, and down. In most cases, gamers really like using those keys, right? We have the space bar. Whenever you're typing a document and you want to space, ensure that you use the longest keyboard, or let me just call it the longest key. We also have special PC operation keys. Okay, these are basically the control CTRL. We have Shift, we have Alt, we have also the Windows key. Those are special commands or special keys. Okay. Section of the keyboard. Most keyboards have a total of 101 keys, which are into 5 different groups. So we have functional command keys. Functional command keys, they're actually located on the topmost section of your keyboard. Okay, and when you look at your keyboard, you will see that they are running from F1 through F12, right? So each of these keys is used to perform a special function in various applications. Example, F1 is used in most applications for help, and F4 is used to close down a particular window. Okay, so on your own free time, ensure that you actually use them and see what happens. Functional keys are used differently by different applications. Their functions vary with different programs and are therefore sometimes called programmable keys. All right. Yeah, whenever you're using different applications, you might realize that F5 means, like for Chrome, if you're using Chrome browser or web browsers and you press like F12, then you basically hide some of the menu items. Okay, so try it out on yourself and see what happens. Alphanumeric keys. This section consists of alphabetic and numeric keys. All right, that is why they're called alphanumeric keys and are mostly used for typing. Okay, so it has the 26 letters of the English alphabet, that is A to Z, and on them in capital letters. And number keys are arranged in their natural order from 0 to 9. Okay. Along with these keys are punctuation marks, comma, full stop, etc. And then at the very bottom, we have the longest key, which is the space bar. Let's jump to the numeric keys. Numeric keypad is found to the right-hand side of your keyboard. It has keys with digits number 0 to 9 marked on them in rows from the bottom upwards, right? The keypad is used for fast entry of numeric data into the computer. Okay, so you can find it, so you can actually find the numeric keys on the right-hand side of your keyboard, and also under the functional keys, under the F1, F2, F3, under the functional keys, you'll also find them. So we also have directional keys, basically page up, page down, home end, and the 4 arrow keys. Okay, so the 4 arrow keys, as I mentioned, allow you to kind of move your cursor around, right? And especially when you're playing a game, you'll find that mostly you'll use these ones or specifically designed keyboards, keys like W, A, D, and S. Okay, W represents forward, A left, move left, D move right, and S move down. Okay, so we have the page up, page up, page down, home, end. And when we're talking about the page up and page down, we use the cursor to move up one page. In the case of the document has many pages. Yeah, if you want to move, let's say you have a document that has got 50 pages and you click page up, it will take you to the first page. Okay, instead of scrolling all the way to the first page, you just click page up, it will take you to the very first page. And then when you click page down, it takes you to the very last page. Actually, moves the cursor up one page. Sorry, I actually meant this is what I was explaining. Home and end takes you to the very first page, and keys takes you to the very last page. Assuming you had, let's say, 100 pages and you are on page 32 and you press home, it will take you to the very first page. Press end keys, then it will take you to the very last page. Page up simply means one page at a time. Like instead of scrolling like line by line, which is a bit time consuming, and you want to move page by page, then it will be advisable for you to use page up. If you want to move a page down, then it would definitely be advisable for you to use page down. Okay. Yeah. So we also have editing keys, and they are used to delete or insert characters in a document. These are, we have the backspace, right? Backspace has a backward arrow. When you look at your keyboard, you'll find that nowadays they are written, you'll find that it has been written a backspace or marked with an arrow pointing to the left. Okay. And we use it to erase characters to the left, right? If you want to erase characters to the right, you click delete. Okay. I find that in most cases, whenever somebody wants to delete, I normally find sometimes whenever guys want to delete something, you find that they place a cursor onto an area upon which they want to delete. And then they'll basically use the backspace, right? Like if you want to delete a text on your right side, you get a cursor and then you put the cursor before the text and delete it using the backspace. So you do not necessarily need to do that. If you need to delete text to the right-hand side, then you use the delete key. If you want to delete text to the left-hand side, then you use the backspace key. All right. Don't forget, they are also called editing keys. Okay. We also have a special one called insert key. Okay. Here in insert key, there are times where you're writing, let's say you're writing a story, and then you want to, when you are reading the story again, you forgot maybe a couple of sentences. Okay, so you bring the cursor. Let's say here is my cursor. I click somewhere. Let's see whether I can edit this document. Yeah. As I was saying, if I want to delete to the left-hand side, I just use backspace like that. If I want to delete to the right-hand side, I just, you can see what is happening. I'm deleting to the right-hand side. Good. Now, the insert, this insert is a special keyword. Let's say I have a story here. Let's say here is my story. I wish to you. Okay. And then I realized, hey, I needed to add something here. Here is my story that I wished. Okay, maybe I should have said I wished. So if I click insert, where is insert? There, I have clicked insert. Watch what happens when I type something. Just watch what happens. Did you see what happened? It basically, should I say overwrote? But basically, I deleted and replaced text to the right side. Okay, why? Because I have mistakes. Okay. Sometimes I find people get frustrated because that's not the intended behavior they wish to have, but they kind of get frustrated and not realize that all they need to do is just press the insert button. Now let me remove the insert button and see what happens. Look at what happens. Now I can add text. You see, it's pushing, this happens. Then it's pushing, it happens. Okay, if I add insert, I have insert, what happens? Right. Right. So that's the difference. Special PC operation keys. Okay, the tabs, escape whenever you want to move away from, let's say you want to move away from a function or you want to move away from a program, you click escape. Tab will basically navigate you to the next section, like you'll move from tab to tab. Okay, caps lock whenever you want to use uppercase. Shifts, you need to use it with a combination of keys. You cannot just use it alone. Control, the same case. You cannot use it. Like if you want to select everything, instead of me dragging like this, I can just say Control A. Okay, select everything. Alt, let me press Alt. You'll find that, suppose I do not have a cursor, not a cursor, I do not have a mouse, or my touchpad is not working. I just need to press Alt and hold it. You see? Look at here. If I leave it, disappear. If I click it, then it appears. What it's telling me is that now, if I want file, I can just click Alt F. I want to click F right now. See what has happened? I've gotten a drop down of commands. Okay. So Alt basically highlights all the menu items that you'd like to use. See what is happening? Yeah. Enter. When you want to go to the next line, you just click enter. Numlock, basically, there are times you do not want to use the alphanumeric, not alphanumeric keys, the keys on to the extreme right, the numeric keys. When you click numlock, it will actually disable them. So you'll not be able to click to use like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you will just use them as arrow buttons. Scroll lock basically locks your scroller. And then the tab, like let me click the tab and see what happens. It moves like a couple of inches. Instead of space, look at when I click space bar. See what's happening. But if I click the tab, you can tell that it's covering more space, 10 millimeters. Yeah, 10 millimeters to 20 millimeters. A cursor is a blinking underscore, like what you're seeing. This is our cursor over here, and it indicates where I can start typing from. Caps lock, when you want to use capital letters, you just use caps lock. Okay, shift key up. This is how it looks like. Shift key. This special key works with combination with other keys. As I mentioned, the shift and also control and also alt work in combination with other keys. It can be used to get single capital letters. Yes, when you hold the shift key and press an alphabet, like let's say I'm holding shift A, B, C, D. If I release shift, I have released it, A, B, C, D. You see? Yeah, if you want single uppercase letters. But if you want total uppercase letters, you just click caps and then you type. If you want single, just use shift and then the symbol and select. Okay. enter key. I'll basically is used to return key. Okay. To the next line, like enter, 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 enter. That is the behavior we get. Escape key generate a special code for the computer. In some programs, it is used when you want to quit doing some task, like the command prompt. Okay, like if you're in the command prompt and you finished typing your commands and you're done with it, when you click escape, it will terminate. Control key controls various functions in combinations with other key. Control X is used to save. Okay. Control S, control X, cut everything, delete everything. My machine is okay, deleted everything. Control Z, undo. Basically want to undo. Confusing keys. Yes, there are times I've been confused. Like, okay, that is capital L, that is small L, and that is number one. Okay. Now, guys, I'm not using, I'm using LibreOffice Writer. Okay, I'm using LibreOffice Writer. So I'm not using Microsoft Word. Okay. So it's a little bit different. Let's say small L and number one. Sometimes it might be difficult to differentiate L and one. Okay, this is small L and this is one. See how closely they resemble? And we have that is O, small o, and zero. Okay. Yeah. But over time, as you continuously work on your document writing skills, then they become easy and easier for you to differentiate. Yeah, we also have forward slash and also backslash, right? But in most cases, you'll use this as a division symbol when you want to divide between two constants. To separate parts of a path in a Unix file. Okay, let me get an example. Let me get a path for you. Give me 1 minute. So that you can see. I am trying to navigate to Chrome. Actually, I should not. Let me just write it somewhere. Give me a minute. So this is an example, okay, of a Unix path. We have home, user, document, okay. So basically, the documents directory, it actually, that path that I've typed represents the documents directory under the user directory, which is located in the root directory, okay. An absolute path specifies the complete location of a file or directory starting from the root directory. All right. So remember, what I've given you, ladies and gentlemen, is what we commonly call an absolute path. And it basically specifies the complete location of a file or directory starting from the root directory. All right. That is the backslash, the forward slash rather, right? So home forward slash home, that is the root directory. Our home is the root directory, then user, then documents. Okay. And there are other times whereby we have relative path. Okay, and I would want you guys to read about it a bit. Yeah, but just remember, a relative path specifies the location of a file or a directory relative to the current working directory. Okay, relative, key, underline that, relative to the current working directory. All right, it does not start with a forward slash. All right, it does not start with a forward slash. For example, maybe if I wrote something like this. Doc. Okay, as you notice, I did not start with a forward slash. All right. So the doc file that I have written is located within the documents directory in the current working directory. Okay, I can actually for pictures, like this one, dot forward slash images pic.jpg. Okay, so it represents the pic.jpg file. Okay, whatever, it's a picture, an image file located within the images directory or folder, images folder, which is one level up from the current working directory. That is why we have the double full stops, if I can call them so. So which is one level up from the current working directory. So when we meet in class, we'll see, we can actually, or you can even try to type the parts and see how they work. Backslash. Okay, I want you guys can go ahead and read about that, space, hyphen, and underscore keys. Single and double quote, accent, grave, and tilde. Yeah, tilde looks like a small wave, and it's basically located below the escape character key. When you look at your keyboard and look under the escape key, you will find we have this tilde. So single quote and double quote, both symbols are on the same physical key top. All right, yeah, like they are located on the same key. For you to get, let me see, here it is. Okay, here is this is a double. Okay, and then when I press shift, no, not press shift. Without when you press shift, you get the double quotes. Okay, when you don't press shift, you just get the single quotes. Okay. So accent, grave, and tilde are found on the same key top. That is just below the escape key. The tilde is used in mathematics, foreign language, or in Unix operating system to indicate the home subdirectory. Okay, even sometimes in programming, we basically use it. the parentheses, square bracket, and curly braces, right? Each of these symbols is used differently depending on what program you are running, okay? Now, for me, as a programmer, I use this as parameters. Let's say if I am writing a function to add two numbers, I'd say void, and then I add my, what are these? Parentheses, okay? And they take in arguments, maybe int x, int y, all right? And then I close my parentheses. And then I open up my curly braces, or the body of this function called add two numbers. Press the insert. Add two numbers. Okay. Now the square bracket basically I could say something like this: int integer my array square bracket 5, okay, is equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where are my if I just extend this, I know this might be Greek to some of us, but it's actually not that easy. 0 less than 5, then I'll just say sum equals okay. Yeah, I'll just call it total. Here I will define int. Okay, guys, sorry for really engaging and indulging in all this, but basically this is a function that adds the total sum, adds 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, so I just wanted you to see sometimes where we can use the parentheses, where we can use the square brackets and also the curly brackets. So over here we've used the parentheses, or what you guys liked calling brackets. Here we've used square bracket to indicate the size of our array. This was to capture the parameters, and we've not even used them. Okay, here we've captured our curly braces to indicate the body of a function, and yeah, the body, the entire body. Yeah. And also the contents of our array. Right. Also, we have seen something interesting over here. We have the slash used for division, asterisk for multiplication, plus symbol for addition. We also, this one, the up caret key, okay, indicates the exponential, okay, raising to a power, okay, 2 to a power of 2, 4 to a power of whatever. We use the up caret key. And where is it located? Let me try and find it. Yeah, found it. Here it is. That is the up caret. Basically number 6 on your keyboard. When you're looking at the numeric keys under the functional keys, you'll find that we have keyboards key 6. It has been indicated as number 6. And then when you look at within the key top left, you'll find that it has the up character key. So practical keyboard skills. When using the keyboard, observe the following rules. Yeah, these rules, I want you guys to read them on your own. I will not necessarily read. You can actually read on your own. Sit up with both feet firmly on the ground. Yeah, do not like hunch. The funny thing is I am already hunching. Let me sit up. Okay, place the material to be typed on your left in a position you can read without strain, and then rest both hands on the keyboard with fingers resting on home keys. So descriptive questions, define a keyboard. So guys, these questions, I want you to attempt them. Define a keyboard, and I want you to attempt these questions and send to me your answers. Send them to alfkinyo@gmail.com. Subject keyboard keyboard quiz. Okay, so descriptive questions, you send them all these questions. Define a keyboard, give 2 types of keyboards found on the current market, state and briefly explain the function of 5 categories of keys found on the. Yeah, and I shall treat this as an assignment. So I expect this from everyone. Okay. Give to users of the shift key. All right, let's start at the mouse section. A mouse is a pointing device that enables the user to issue instructions to the computer by controlling a special mouse pointer on the key screen. Okay, whenever you move around your mouse, you find that you are able to navigate to a point where you'd like, and then you click that there, and the cursor will definitely appear and allow you to make changes that you like to make. So mouse for casing is the mouse in the hand. Rollerball, okay. Rollerball, that is now obsolete. We no longer have rollerballs. We use raised. We have raise. They have raise, not or yeah, raise. Raise. The sensor buttons, right and left, okay, used for making selections. A cable connects the mouse to the system unit. Yeah, you can find a mouse that utilizes a cable, while sometimes you find that we have Bluetooth mouse, okay, which are cordless. You don't necessarily need a cable. So here is the casing that you're talking about. Allows you to rest your hand comfortably. This is the left mouse button. Okay, this is the right mouse button, and then this is the cable to the system unit. Okay, so this is an example of a peripheral device, a mouse. Terminologies associated with the use of a mouse to point. This means moving the mouse until the tip of the pointer on the screen is over the item you want to select, right? Clicking basically means pressing and releasing the left mouse button once. Yeah. A click usually selects an object item on the screen, right? We also have double clicking, right? So double clicking simply means pressing the left button twice in a row, okay? The left button twice in a row in quick succession without moving the mouse, right? So double clicking usually opens a file or starts a program. Right clicking, pressing the mouse button once or selecting an item by use of the right mouse button, okay? Drag and drop. Drag and drop simply means that I have double clicked that and I'm able to select. If you double click that, you select. Single click, you insert a cursor. Okay, I'm just single clicking, single click, Right clicking gives you options. All right, I am right clicking. Gives you various options. Right click. All right. Left clicking allows you to make a selection like that. Okay. And I'm not using a mouse, I am using a touchpad since I'm using a laptop to record this session. I'm basically using a touchpad. Okay, you will also look at these review questions and attempt them as well. So I think we can call it a day for today. And today being on a Friday, on Monday, I will release another video for you guys to watch and go through the notes, attempt a few questions here and there, ask any questions that you might have, and then we will proceed from there. We will also discuss when to hold our CAT, and this I will have a discussion with your class rep, whereby I will have to come physically to class and have a sit down with all of us for us to attempt the CAT. So make sure you read these notes. And for those of you who don't have these notes, just use my WhatsApp, send me your email, and I will be able to forward you some of these notes so that you can also read ahead of me as we discuss. Bear in mind, I do not read everything line by line, but I just do some highlights and a lot of explanations. So it pays for you to have some of these notes and you read ahead of me so that when we are discussing, it becomes a bit easier to understand and to flow and move along. Okay, so guys, have a pleasant weekend and see you later. Bye-bye.